Or if the bomb that drops on you gets your friends and neighbors too, there'll be nobody left behind to grieve, and we will all go together when we go. What a comforting fact that is to know.
Hello and thank you for watching the John Doe Prepper channel. I'm your host, John A. Whitman, and as I promised in my Christmas special 2024, I am starting off the new year with the little mini-series on winter combat gear, starting with my outermost layer, that being the winter camouflage layer. What we're going to talk about, as you can kind of see here laid out before you, is the Multicam Alpine oversuit that I use. Just to briefly kind of shamelessly plug my own content, there is an effectiveness test video for this particular oversuit on my channel from November 2024. Feel free to go and watch that if you haven't already. It was a pretty fun video to make, and I, not to claim that I'm in any way unbiased, but I thought it was kind of also interesting to re-watch all the footage as well. So if that's something you're interested in and you haven't seen it, go check it out. But back to the topic for this video, which is talking about the oversuit itself. And while I'm at it, I'm also going to talk about the matching balaclava that I got and the matching pack cover that I got. So the oversuit consists of a pair of trousers and a zip front hooded jacket that comes in this little stuff sack. I don't really like storing this in the stuff sack because it's just one extra little step of taking it out of here and putting it on, or taking it off and then stuffing it back in here. But I do plan to repurpose this stuff sack for another project that will probably be a few more months in the making. So stay tuned for that. I might post it on here. I think it'll be kind of cool. Anyway, setting this aside, back to the oversuit. The oversuit is kind of a one size fits most kind of thing. It is intentionally made really big and baggy so that it will fit over your heavy insulated winter clothing. It is elasticated on the trousers around the ankles and around the knees, and it has a wider elastic band around the waistband as well as drawstrings. The jacket, as I said previously, is a zip front jacket. This jacket is also elasticated similarly to the trousers around the elbows and the wrists, and then also has an elastic drawstring around the bottom. So after you've zipped the jacket up and pulled the bottom of it up over the trousers, you then do up this elastic band with this little toggle here to prevent wind from blowing the jacket up, and also just to stop it from kind of flopping around and potentially getting snagged on things, which is really nice. So this whole oversuit, depending on where you find it, who you buy it from, you can get it on places like eBay, Amazon, probably places like AliExpress would have it as well, but I don't know for sure, but it wouldn't surprise me. They have pretty much everything. But it ranges in price from anywhere from like $35 to $45, depending on, like I said, where and from whom you get it from. But it is, in my opinion, a fairly competently designed little oversuit of decent quality. The fabric is, of course, quite thin, but that is to kind of be expected with oversuits in general, even ones that are of a very high-end manufacture. The one nice thing about this, especially with it being a winter camouflage pattern, is this is a water-resistant fabric as well. And every extra little bit of water resistance / waterproofing you can add to winter clothing, even just in a civilian context, is fantastic. So I really, really like that about this. You can sometimes find these in a matching set with one of these ruck covers, which is made of the same ultra-thin water-resistant fabric, for around like $55, but if you just buy the pack cover itself, it's like $15, and that's a pretty reasonable price for what you're getting, in my opinion. Moving on from there, the balaclava is just your generic Chinese tactical balaclava sort of a spandexy material. These are available in pretty much every camouflage pattern you can possibly think of, as well as a wide array of solid colors. I use this exact same type of balaclava for all of my uniforms in every camouflage pattern that I run seriously. These run, I think, anywhere from like $7 to $9 on average. Again, kind of depending on where you get it from, what pattern you get it in, etc. But it does the job, right? It's not fantastic, but it's not terrible. It just does what it's supposed to, which is cover your head and face in a camouflage fabric that matches the rest of your crap. So, moving over to the pack cover, I have it on my work in progress 72-hour assault pack currently. You can see it's just a generic olive green 45-liter pack, and this just has an elastic drawstring with a toggle right here so you can tighten it. This is meant to fit packs up to 60 liters in volume, if I recall correctly. But this is much easier and cheaper to get and just put on a generic ruck like this than it is to try and find a ruck that is actually made with fabric in this camouflage pattern. So, in my opinion, this is kind of the best bang for your buck option for camouflaging a lot of your equipment for winter use. And the oversuit is kind of the same thing. Like, yes, there are like insulated combat uniforms out there with a snow camo pattern of some sort on them, printed on them, but those are going to be a lot more expensive than just buying like one of those blizzard proof like insulated onesies basically, and then just wearing this over it. But beyond just the cost effectiveness, because some people would probably kind of be a little bit sketched out by the fact that these are, of course, kind of pieces of cheaper Chinese tactical equipment. For those of you who would be trepidatious about purchasing these particular items for that reason, I am very lucky in the fact that I have a lot of very, very cool people that I have the privilege of knowing from my time online, who, some of whom have actually been in combat and some of whom are still currently in combat. More specifically, for the purposes of this video, I have talked to both current and former foreign volunteers who either are currently fighting or who have previously fought in the Russo-Ukrainian war. And from what those guys have told me, all the ones that were cool enough to talk to me about their experiences, a lot of both foreign volunteers and like native-born Ukrainian like militia group members often use a lot of Chinese tactical gear. And that also is a thing that happens on the Russian side of the conflict, because I've also had the great honor, I guess you could say, of talking to servicemen and families and friends of servicemen on that side of the conflict as well, and I've gotten similar stories. But one of the things in particular that volunteers and militiamen on the Ukrainian side said is that for those who do not have the funding and logistics of the regular Ukrainian military behind them, they absolutely love these Multicam Alpine oversuits. Now, obviously, not every volunteer may have had that experience. I'm just speaking from the experience of the ones that I have had the privilege of talking to. So, obviously take that with a bit of a grain of salt. These guys haven't talked to every single volunteer ever. They haven't been, a part of every single unit of the Ukrainian army or anything like that. It's just their experience from what they saw, the people they knew, the units they were in, etc., etc. But if that is not a ringing enough endorsement for this being being good to go for serious use, of it literally having the rubber stamp of approval from guys who have been there and done that, I don't really know what is. But with that all being said, I think that's just about all I have to say about this. There's really not all that much that's all that special about this, I suppose. So sorry if this video was a bit kind of, boring and underwhelming, but the next part, this is part 1 of the whole winter combat gear miniseries. Part 2 will hopefully, if this didn't quite tickle your tism, hopefully part 2 will, because part 2 is going to be more about equipment to keep your extremities warm, specifically your hands and feet and such. But with that being said, I hope you were able to enjoy this somewhat long-winded diatribe on my Multicam Alpine gear. And thank you for watching the John Doe Prepper Channel.
We will all go together when we go, all suffused with an incandescent glow. No one will have the endurance to collect on his insurance. Lloyds of London will be loaded when they go.